Hi, I'm Dante Deer, and you're checking out the Three Count Podcast. Wait, let me do the little ears. I'm sorry.
Get live with me. Do you really want to ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller, a man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, after season 5 or 380 something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficient. You can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? Well, you find this person at UPW, TCW, SNW. That's right, Supernova Wrestling, GPW, NYCW, SPW. He is the man known as Dante Dio.
Man, you doing your research.
Hell yeah. Whoa. You got to do research for like.
Yeah.
I always find it weird that like now I find it weird, but when I first started doing this podcast, like I didn't think about that, and so I remember like asking a wrestler to come on the show, right? And they agreed, and then they're like, oh well, what do you know about me? And I was like, really, I'm just trying to learn about the business, so I just wanted to ask people who've been a little bit more better than me. And so they responded by saying, so you're gonna bring me on the podcast and you don't know anything about me? I'll pass. And I was like, word. So I was like,
lesson learned.
Start doing some research. Lesson learned. What's funny though is that person ended up coming back the next year because their best friend hit them up and told them, hey, you should go on this podcast. And so it worked out.
I mean, yeah, I would have told them, like, hey, thank you for denying me, because like face of denial, like, okay, you denied me, well, I'm gonna get better. And I did, and then they came back.
Yeah,
for the guy that sometimes blessing happens when it's
yeah, well, and it also comes back to like this whole thing where it's like as you're like learning in the business and you're understanding like how things move and dynamic happen, like everything will take off and everything will be everything once you kind of like put the effort into it. I know a guy, I'd asked him numerous times to be on the podcast and got denied, and then finally he decided to come on, and we just chopped it up and had a great time. He was like, man, I wish I would have done this years ago. I was like, it'd be like that, bro.
You want to say hi?
I saw it was the look. He
just did a promo with me. I had to cut a promo for UPW Rochester, New York, and he came with me to do the promo, and I got a cute little video of him just making some funny noises, and me and my friend would kind of roll with it. It was cute. It was fun, and he had a ball.
That's the thing though that makes like everything great though, is that like when you get to do promos and you get to include like your personal life into things, and then people get to see. I know, like for me, I got to do a promo last year in Maryland. It was like one of the last promos I did in Maryland with my daughter in the promo. And it was so cool because she was also in the first promo I did in Maryland, and then she also happened to be in the last promo I did in Maryland. So it was kind of like a full circle moment for me where I was like, I'm digging this. I'm digging this energy a lot. And it was funny because like Sickend, who was my trainer, he said he goes, well, I think you might have said that a little premature. I was like, I know, that's how I got her. And then like my daughter jumped into the promo and gave like a little kawaii look and then bounced out. But it's a great moment. I was like, this is so much fun. I love pro wrestling because it gives me that ability to be artistic that way.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I've used him a couple times in promos and in conversations, and he's been a main reason for a storyline before.
Yeah, we did the whole Dominic storyline.
No, more of like I didn't know when my wife was pregnant for him, and I didn't know we had a due date. We didn't know when it was coming, like when he would come, and so the show was the first weekend of December. So we decided to like, okay, we're gonna take me out in the November show, kind of put me on the shelf for December, and if I make it cool, we can work with that and do a storyline where you get your revenge now from him attacking you, taking you out, and then we can build to a bigger feud. And then if not, then you just, you're out, and then we'll just push that back to the next show and then continue from there. Because I didn't that company at it was NYCW. I was really loyal to them. Like, when they were around, they're unfortunately no longer around. I never missed a show there. From their first show they ever had to the very last one, I was the one, if not the only person on that roster in like the 4 years they existed that never missed a show.
It's funny because I was looking through your wrestler database, your cage database. Like, I noticed that like it was like a consistent run of just being at NYW CW.
Yeah. And sad part is that cage, like my cage profile is not even all up to date. Like, it's missing so much information, and it's forever going to be lost.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, eh.
What's funny though is that for me, it was one of those things where when I first got into the business, like I had talked to a bunch of people, and I didn't know whether I was allowed to like take photos or whatnot, right? Because I didn't want to be that guy. But then like I had a conversation with another wrestler who was like, no, take all the photos that you want to. But he's like, the most important thing though is like learn lessons as you're going along, right? And it couldn't have been later that night. I was driving home from a show, actually being told that advice, right, to go take pictures of everybody I wanted. And then as I'm driving home, it was crazy. So I'm listening to Talk is Jericho, and Jericho was talking about his new book coming out and how in his book he had all the wrestling matches that he ever had. And I was like, yo, that's a great idea. So I started going back and looking at all the wrestling matches I had and then started writing them down. And I still, to this day, like, I'll show you guys, in this book has every single wrestling match that I've ever had, starting from the back page moving forward. And I was very excited that I took that advice and ran with it.
I wish I would have kept up with mine. I have my first 2 years in a notebook, and I know exactly where it is. And I only kept with it for 2 years. It was date, place, who I went against, who won, how many people were in attendance.
I wish I would have done that.
Yeah, I just wish. I wish I kept up with it, and I tell everyone that I train with. I tell them, do it. Like, don't make the mistake I did. Like, you're gonna regret it, because I do. Because I'm like, man, some of these matches I would love to go back and just like read off, because like I know, like, my memory's bad, but I know if I'm like, okay, I went against this person, I will remember that match.
Yeah.
But like off the top of my head, nope.
Well, and that was the other part too, was like I got when I left Maryland and I moved up to Massachusetts, I was like, all right, I'm really gonna take full advantage of the opportunities and like get pictures with all my friends and stuff like that, all the people I know, and I just want to treasure all this stuff because I keep it honest with everybody. I know that I'm no spring chicken when it comes to the game, right? Like I'm young, but I'm not young-ish, you know what I mean? And so like I was like, yo, let me start getting pictures with all these other workers, and I want to remember all these memories and stuff like that. So I go around and I take pictures with as many people as I can, because I'm like, I don't want to forget this, and I don't want to sit back here and go, dang, who was that person again? No. Oh, that was with Vicious Vicky. Cool, I like that. Oh, I was with Kennedy Copeland. Bet. Oh, I'm with Bear Bronson. Cool. Alec Price. Like I love like being able to go through and see all the people that I got to like know and spend some time with, and then like, you know, just that. I think it's important that as you're making your way through this, you're remembering all those things. See, like when I was in Iraq, this is the craziest part. I had tons of photos, right? Tons and tons of photos of my time when I was serving overseas. Like I had a whole entire file, and my file got corrupted and deleted from my on my computer, and I lost all of it. And
That's
so
terrible.
yeah, so I'm hurt because I only have 2 photos. I'm so glad. I think it's 2, 3 photos that are on my Facebook page that I have. So I've been able to download them and keep them, right? But I had hundreds of photos. I'm talking about like the doing like the dumbest things I could ever think of, like walking around. And someone's gonna get pissed when I say this. Walking around with my M9 and an M4 down a flight line that doesn't even need to be protecting. It's just me walking down it, like acting like I'm like guarding it, and then to like working missions with my friends. Like I had all this memory, all these like cool photos of like when
Just
yeah, gone. Everything gone. And I'm just
that
damn,
break my heart, man.
and yeah, so knowing that, like, I keep everything backed up and then back up everything else on top of that, 'cause I'm like, "Yo, I'm never gonna make this mistake again." So I
It's
was
gonna
like,
be backed up on a backup.
right, yo, and then it's gonna be on like on a cloud service as well. So I have like 4 different places to pull it from. I'm like, yo, I'm never doing this again. But yeah, it sucks because like you think about those cool memories and then you lose them. So I don't want to lose them. So I'm like looking through my phone and stuff, and I see literally from like the first show I worked on, I've got pictures with everybody.
My first show, my first show was a shoot show. Like it was shot on me. Like I didn't even know I was debuting. It was like, hey, we're doing like the student showcase show. Go buy some gear. This is what we want you to buy. Not like design or anything, just gear. It was gear, boots, and kick pads. And so, me being new, I went out, bought exactly what they said. I bought gear that I thought looked cool, and oh god, they did not look cool. Now looking back at them, I'm like, oh god, I can't believe the old me used to wear that. And then boots, and then kick pads, which I got shit for so long. Why do you wear boots and kick pads? Because I was told by people I trusted to get it. So if I spent money on it, I'm going to use it. Sure, I look a little weird wearing boots and kick pads, but you know what? I'm using it. I spent the money on it. I'm going to use it. And didn't even know I was going to wrestle that day.
Mm.
I didn't know until like an hour or 2 hours before the doors open. Surprise!
Hey, you're working. That happened too. That happened to a friend of mine, Chaz. So we were going to SCWA. I was injured. I had torn my ab muscle, like doing a
Oof.
3/4 roll like a few weeks before. So I was out. But I was gonna be going to just like make a run in because they still wanted to use me.
Yeah.
So, like cool, whatever. So I went to the show, and then the day of, my buddy Chaz gets a phone call and was like, "Hey, I need you to get your gear. You're coming with me. We're going into the main event." And so my buddy Chaz actually debuted in the main event at SCWA against Mausoleum, Jeremy Grimes, and I'm trying to remember who the third person was. I think it might have been Michael Zamidio. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but those 4 worked in a match, and Chaz kicked out one of the tile ceilings because the roof was too small. The roof was too short, and yeah, I was like, yo, it was cool to watch my friend debut, and then we both kind of debuted at the same time, where he wrestled and I just like showed up. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love watching my friends debut. Like one of the guys I train with, I've been training with him since he first started. Like I remember him walking in to the institute the first day, and then training all couple, like I think it was like a good year or so in that school. He moved, came back, and then he started training with ups. Gosh, I'm gonna get shot here. Upstate Pro Wrestling. It's alphabet soup. There's so many different abbreviation for everything.
Yeah.
There's UPW. No, it's UWE. Wow, I should be shot. UWE. Again, UPW, UWE. It's all alphabet soup. But he started training at UWE when they first opened. And I've seen him train there for the last like 4 years now. I'm like, and I got to I didn't get to see him exactly debut, because he debuted at Immortal, which
Hmm.
is in Rome, New York. But I got to wrestle at New Age Wrestling, and I got to tag team. I meet him. Why can I never talk English, man? But I got to be in a tag team against their tag team champions there, the Brooklyn Dynasty, just recently. And I'm like, right before I go out, I'm like, I looked at him. I'm just like, this is like a proud father moment. You know that, right? Because that was like the first time I actually like I've seen videos, but like in person, I've never seen him wrestle really. I have, but they were like student shows, so like I wasn't like I don't really count those, but like here I am standing next to my best friend and going for tag belts, which is I freaking love tag team wrestling. I'm just a little proud father here. Like, oh, I
I think it's.
actually, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say. I think it's funny how like you end up like meeting a lot of people or like yourself. You know, like you're there tagging with your friends, and yeah, it's something about like being in a car ride with your friends, knowing that you're going to the same spot, working at a show, and then just getting to just have fun with them, regardless
Yep.
if you're working face or heel or if you guys are working each other or working as a tag team. It's just something about working with your friends that you know you can get away with some shit that you just can't get away with when you're working like let's be real, like another person. And to be fair, like you're supposed to be professional the whole time, but you know sometimes like you hit your friends a lot harder than you would hit like
Yep.
a random person.
Well, and also like we'll use a Canadian destroyer as an example.
Yeah.
If oh, if I go against you,
Hmm.
I know you, but like and I've seen you wrestle. I know your abilities and all that. Like I know about you. I've seen you wrestle. I know your ability. But like if I'm going against my friend Zach, who I've seen train since like oh god, like he's been constant 4 years, but I first met him I think in like 2018 maybe.
Yeah.
And like if I had to give a Canadian destroyer, no offense to you, I trust him more
Yeah.
because like I've seen him, I know him, like so I would trust him to give me it. Like you trust the people that you train with and your friends a lot more than like people even that you know. Like you just trust them more, and you can so you do like you said more super shit. Like when I'm in there with Trip, it's with him. It's mostly let's finish, and we don't call anything else because we know each other. And but like anyone else, I don't know their stuff. Even if I've seen their stuff, I don't know how they are in the ring. Yes, buddy. You want to be a wrestler too?
You know. Hi.
You want to be a wrestler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, no doubt. No, no, I definitely I understand your point. And it's funny though because you mentioned taking Canadian destroyers, right? I'll tell you now, the way I learned, right, and practice, right? I can I'll be fair, I can hit a moonsault, right? But I wanted to throw a destroyer, so I had Sicken like teach me the elements of it. Yo, I took my daughter and gave myself a destroyer with me, and I have the videos from like the first time that we did it to like the most recent time, and I'll tell you, like it was hilarious because I was like, bro, we've gone, it's full circle, and I remember like training on how to do it properly and like just learning how and just delivering them right and to make it look devastating too. So I was like, I'm aware of what I can do. So I do understand though that you want to work with people when you work with those guys that you've trained with or you ride with or you just genuinely trust more. You're willing to take those risks with them versus like somebody else who's not you're not as
Yeah.
comfortable with that person. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah, especially your first time meeting them. Like, I understand, like, universally we should all be trained, and we should all be at least a baseline training.
Yep.
But it's still like, even though going out and meeting someone new for the first time, or training with this person 2 times a week for the last 2-3 years, there's a big difference in match quality and everything.
Well, I have a friend, right? His name's Greg, and he'll let a person call the match, right? He always does this. Go ahead, call your match however you want to call it, and they'll call it, right? And if it sounds complicated, he's like, "Wait a minute, can you do like a generico drag, right?" And if they don't know what that is, he's like, "No, we're going with a basic match," because he's very like, he's like, "Yo, if we can't do all the simple things, and we're definitely not doing the complicated things." And so he's very much like, "Hey, if we can't do this swing right, then we going back to the basics. We just doing a simple match, and we just keep it just simple." And sometimes that's always
Yep.
the best options too,
Yeah.
like just keeping things
I've
super simple.
I've always got told less is more. Like, the less if you had to throw 3 kicks to get over, and I could throw 1 kick to get it over, then my 1 kick is going to look a lot more devastating than that 3.
Yep.
And funny enough, it didn't dawn upon me really. Like, I got it, like, I understood it, and I always try to put it in practice. But it really dawned upon me about less is more, and it was last Saturday against Tripp's son. Because we're going to call the match, and he's like, "Hey, I want to do this combo." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I love combos. I do combos." Like I'm thinking, "Okay, what is it?" And he goes, "I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this." And I'm like, I let him talk about it, and then I go, "Okay, you want to run 3 miles while we're at it too?" and I said it jokingly. He knows I'm joking. But it made me realize, like, at that moment, I was like, I get it now. And it's just funny how that kind of hit me, even though after the match I got yelled at because I called too much. But
Right.
so I got in trouble for calling too much, even though all we did was call international, his combo, my combo, and the finish that they already agreed on. And apparently that's too much. But
I don't know, man. For me, it's always like, yo, I do agree that less is more, and that's why, like, for me, my match style, it's just, I'm like, listen, like, I'm not trying to run a marathon. I'm legit just trying to go like, 10 to 15, have fun. If we have to go 10 to 15, let's go 10 to 15. If not, hey, we're going 6 to 8 and we're going home. Yeah, 10 to 12, I don't really care. But we just gonna keep it inside this like wheelhouse of like fun. And then that's it. Like there's no reason to like I think for people who like, yo, I want to hit like 30 super kicks in a match. Not that I was saying anything,
you killed a super kick off of that.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, like
What's the
one should matter.
What's the ideal time limit for you?
I think 8 to 10. 8 to 10 is a good minute. Is a good run. And that's, by the way, for those who are asking, 8 to 10, bell to bell. Like,
yes,
bell
to bell, 8 to 10. I think is a good time.
Yeah.
Like, that match we got was 6 to 8, and we went 7 minutes and 21 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about.
Which, I'm proud of myself because, like, I'm sitting there during the heat. I'm like, okay, I feel like it's time to go. Like we're right where we need to be. The crowd is starting to turn on him because he was turning heel that show, but we had to kind of establish it. So it was like baby, more aggressive baby.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, they're starting to turn on him. So let's get them. Like, the point was at the end for him to fully turn heel, grab the chair. Tripp comes out, grabs the chair from him. No, you're not winning this way because it's his son. And then While the ref is distracted by Trip, he goes to grab another chair, hits me, hits his finisher, 1, 2, 3. But like it was like during the heat, I was like, yep, this is the perfect time. I can start feeling the crowd start to turn on him. The and I felt like the energy of the crowd. I'm like, this is like they're starting to come down.
Yeah.
We need to now. It's time to go home. Bring him back up, and they did. We got him back up, and right where he went to get the chair, they were booing him. And I was like, yep, this is exactly where we need to be. Everything's good. Did the finish. Everything took the move well. He hit me with a chair just fine. And the aftermath, though, was uh, not fun.
I remember like I don't know. It's funny. Like the first time when I got hit with a chair, right? Actually, it's the first and only time I've been hit with a chair. I was like, it was called on the fly,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, yeah. I had no. I remember getting thrown outside and being told like sell this chair shot, and just getting swapped right in the back.
Oof.
And
I think I'd be pretty mad about that.
yeah, you know what's funny is at the time, like I had realistically, right? We'll keep it 100. So I started obviously in 2020, right? So COVID really shut a lot of that stuff down,
Yeah.
and I had worked maybe like 5 or 6 matches, maybe when this incident had happened. It was like my sixth time, really kind of like well, like my fifth or sixth time, like working in front of a crowd. And so one spot got blown, and then like yeah, I just went
Just
off the
roll
rails from
downhill.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
just off that.
That's usually what happens.
Yep. So it was what it was, but yeah. Then I got hit with a chair shot, and I was like, "Did I never want to do this again? I never want to get hit with a chair again." And it wasn't that. It wasn't like was bad. It was just if you would have told me, I probably would have in my mind I would have been ready for it. But I was like, "Yeah, no, this is trash. Like I'm never
The,
gonna do this again."
the
It's
the
like,
first time I got hit with a chair, it was planned.
yeah,
And I made sure like the guy that did it, I trusted him. Like I've been in the ring with him, I've been on multiple shows with him. Like I straight up trusted him, and he was the only one. Like there was another guy in the match, he wanted to do it, and it's the promoter wanted the chair shot in, and I told him, I'm like, look, I'm only gonna take this if it's from him because I trust him, and it's not trying to say I didn't trust the other guy. Like I did, obviously, because I trust everyone that I get in the ring with, unless you give me a reason. Once you give me a reason to not trust you,
yeah,
if we're in the middle of a match, then I'm gonna end this match as quickly as possible for my protection. Because if you've already almost hurt me 3 times, I need to get myself out of that situation before you actually hurt me, because I'm trying to get back to the point where wrestling's paying my bills.
right,
I had a good year where wrestling was literally paying my bills for me, which was awesome. So like at one point, this wasn't a hobby. This was legitly paying my bills. Um and it was great. So like I'm trying to like, if I'm doing this, this is where I am. I'm trying to get, this not just to be a hobby. This isn't something I just do on the weekends. I want to make a living out of this.
right,
Um so like for him for me to go like, I want him to do it, it's because I know he can be safe, and I know he can do it safely because he's done it multiple times, and I'm like, yeah, I completely trust him, and it went really good. Like the shot happened, it went good, got a good sound. Yeah, kind of sidetracked. Sorry.
yeah, that's good. No, I feel where you're coming from though, because like like the main job of us, right, as workers is that we want to protect our opponents and protect
Yep.
ourselves as well. And so you want to go home because let's be real, like and I'm glad that that's like your goal is that you want wrestling to pay your bills, but to be real, like it's not paying bills right now. and you want to be able to wrestle the next day because you want to be able to go home to your family, enjoy them, and then get back on the road, go to another show, work at that show, and then
Yep.
keep doing it over and over again. But yeah, I could definitely understand the fear of like, yo, I'm not trying to work and have you hurt me and then ruin my opportunity of making this like a permit, like a viable, how do I say it?
Valuable source of income.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and you got it. You have kids. I have my son. Like when we go out and
Kid.
leave,
Just kid.
kid.
Just kid.
Yeah.
Just not kids. Just kid.
We have
We have that in common.
and we both have a kid, so we both know when we do these shows on the weekends, I want to come home to my son. I want to be able to pick him up, run, chase after him in the yard, and just be able to do things with him when he grows up. And if I get injured and taken out, like I've already seen this happen once. One of the guys I've trained with never showed up for training, and he was skipping out training. The only time he went to training was a week before, like the week of a show, he would come to training. And our trainer was like, look, no, you can't do this and expect to get on the show. Like, you need to cancel the booking because you're not going to keep doing this and be on the show. Like, you can't wrestle on the show. Stop. And the guy didn't listen to the trainer during the show. He got injured. And it's not a good it's not a good injury. The doctor told him that as of right now, he can never wrestle again. He can still walk. He's fine, like everything. Yeah. But the doctor just said like the injury just made it so he can't ever wrestle. And it's like, man.
And that's why I think another part that goes into that, right, is like calling what you're comfortable with. Like things that that you can take safely and things that you can deliver safely too. Because God forbid, like someone asks you, like, "Hey man, can you do like a double moonsault?" And you're like, "Yeah, I got this," and then it doesn't turn out well. I know for me, like I remember one time I got asked if because I'll be honest with people, like I don't get to catch much people who are like diving out of the ring. So when people call for that spot, I'm like, bro, like I'm gonna be real. I will do my best to catch you. I was like, but I'm not comfortable with it. So if you want to find another way to do this, we can do it. And he's like, they'll be like, well, what about a house show dive? I'm like, perfect. I got you. Like, we'll go there. But if you diving through those ropes, I'm here. But I just know I'm gonna be like, oh God, I hope you.
Please don't hurt me. I used to do dives in my match all the time, and like I never threw a dive before, and then I was in a fatal 4-way match, and my friend, he wanted to dive, and I was like, you know what? Like I went over it and practiced it. I mean, we had 2 big guys, like real big guys that could easily catch us. I'm like, you know what? Good day for my first dive in a match, and went over a couple times before the show, felt comfortable with it, did it, and then kind of became almost not a staple, but I did it probably every other match. And then I've noticed it's never the move you do for the first time you get injured. It's the move you've done a million times, and that 1,000,001 time is when you get injured.
Yep.
I went for a dive. Everything went good. Everything's good. He catches me, goes down. My knee hits the floor, and I just hit the right mark where my kneecap just went.
Oh no.
Yeah. But like, yes, ow. But I've messed up my knees many times. So it's not just like, hey, this is a brand new injury. Like, hey, welcome to this new injury. This is a old injury that has happened. Like 2010 was when I first injured my knee. And like, this is just more of like, yeah, this happened to you 1,000,000 times. It was mostly, I spent like the first like minute going, okay, what's my mobility? Can I move it? Can I apply pressure? Yep. Okay, I can get through this match. And as the match went on, we had to change on the fly. Funny enough, it was against Tripp, believe it or not. And I was so mad. So this injury happened when Tripp was going on a rampage of good matches. I mean, like, he was killing it. Like, this is like, I want to say this is right before Moose, when he wrestled Moose, or it was right after he wrestled Moose. I think it was right before he wrestled Moose. And I mean, like, he was going on a string of good matches. And I was so excited to face him because I'm like, I know we can have a good match. We were in a promotion PA and we had a really good match. And that was the first time I ever, like, didn't call anything. It was just mostly, hey, what do you, like, I've done it. Didn't really go so good before, but Tripp was the first time where I ever actually sat there and it went flawless. Like, it went good. But this match, and it happened like right in the beginning. I was like, ah. So, like, we had to change the entire match up, and we didn't call much. We only called like maybe a handful of things. Like, kept it very, very simple. Kept a lot of it open. It was mostly like, you do something, and then I'm gonna reverse it and do something to you, and just this fighting back and forth. There wasn't like that the typical like shine, heat, like the typical layout of a match was not there. It was, I'm gonna do something, you do something. And it's like constant struggle back and forth, and that was the original plan. And that injury made it like, nope, we're gonna have to flip it, go back to the beginning, like go back to a most organized match with the Heat, because like I needed a second to get my kneecap be like, yep, I'm good, I can keep going. Which, you know, the only thing I'm very disappointed about that match was that injury. That injury in my eyes ruined it. Other than that, it was not a bad match, but it was probably the worst one he had during that streak, which does not make me personally happy, because like I try to take pride in what I do. When I have a bad match, just like everyone else, I tear myself up inside. I'm my worst critic. I got a lot of people I got to prove, you know, that I can do this. And when I have a bad match, it gets to me. And I've noticed lately, the last couple of years, more and more people are like looking at me, wanting to be like, hey, you know, when it comes to laying out a match, I've noticed a lot of people have been looking at me, and I'm just like, don't put this pressure on me, please.
No, the funny thing is like, I go back and I watched my first match in front of a live crowd the other day. It's the first time I've seen it. Like, cause I know a lot of people are like, man, I'm going back to watch my matches and critique it myself and blah 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 blah. And I was like, I do not watch my matches back, because
You
like,
should.
I 100% agree. My problem is that when I go back and watch it, I just remember what I was in the moment, and then I go back and like, yo, I'm just straight dog shit. Like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect now. I'm not by any means, but like watching my first match back, and I just critiquing myself like, yo, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have talked about this, you should have done, clap your hands, get the crowd involved, stop, put your face down, pick your face, and like I'm like, I'm not even enjoying this anymore. I'm just critiquing the hell out of myself, and I don't really want to do that. So
Yeah,
like, I try not to. I let my friends do all my critiquing, and then watch the match from like their point and try to be less harsh on myself. But I find myself going overboard.
Well, I enjoy watching my matches back if I can, because there's literally one place I go to. I've had a match for over a year and I have yet to see a single one of those matches, which gets to me, because I'm like, look, I want to watch these because I need to. I want to get better, and knowing what I did wrong, like I'll do the match, and that night I won't think about it, because in the moment I'm not going to do myself any good by, especially if I feel that like, yeah, I did bad. I need that moment to calm down, and then I'll go over it and pick at it later. Or if I have like, you know, I have a good match, then I'll sit there and be like, you know what, let me just keep this feeling for a moment because I know tomorrow when I'm looking at it, I'm not going to feel good about it because I'm going to be like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. Like right before COVID, I probably had one of my favorite matches. I was defending my cruiserweight championship against Greg Sterling down in Mayfield, PA, against at Backbreakers Entertainment, and we ate. Like they had a really nice setup, and right before the match, they did like a video package they made of our promos and all that. I'm like, oh my god, this feels like a big match feel, like almost like a WrestleMania match. Like they were making it like this big opportunity, big storyline, and we did the match, and I felt great. Like you can literally see on the camera when I'm getting pinned. And the 3 counts happen, the crowd erupts, and I'm laying there on the mat with just a smile on my face because, like, I'm like, this is what we've been building up for. This pop, this reaction from the fans. We spent the last like 5-6 months building to this moment, and finally, all that headache, all the headache I had to endure because it was not. It was a good storyline, but boy, did I have to fight for some things. But it was just like, it was worth it. And then I'll go back. I let that be. And then like next day I go back and I watch it and I'm like, oh man, this, like, we should have went home right there. This is bad. Like, oh, I could have done this better. He could have done this better. And I'm just like, I'm tearing it apart. I'm like, man, one of my favorite matches I've ever had. I'm just tearing it apart like no tomorrow.
Yeah, one of my friends, he says that all the time. He's just like, he'll send me a video and he was like, make me hate this match. I'm like, okay.
Oh, like, easy. Just put me in it.
Yeah, I'll critique everything out of it, just for him because he, it's a out of love kind of deal. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from when it comes to your favorite matches. I know, like, I've watched a couple of mine back recently, and I'm like, yo, I enjoyed this match, and I was like, I could have done this, I could have done that, and I think that's where I don't want to overly critique myself because being that you're your harshest critic, I feel like sometimes you'll get too harsh.
Yeah.
And then when you get into your next match, you'll overly think about what you should have done, and then you may not react the same way that you should be reacting. Because I really try to focus on the live in the moment and not think too much ahead of everything. But there's been times, and this happened recently, which I was very grateful. Right, so I was in a match, and I've talked about this match before on this program, actually. So we're in this match and I'm working in this triple threat. And there was a moment where I realized that my cardio was good. Like, I was great. Right. But there were certain instances that I felt like I was just and it was only half a second to maybe half a second long, where I realized, one, I had forgotten something that I needed to do. But then two, there were parts where I could have filled in moments and I just wasn't doing it. And so when I went back and watched it, right, and I know I said I don't watch my matches. I do. I just get overly critiqued on it. But what ended up happening was I saw those moments and I was like, oh shit, like, this is what he was talking about. This is what he was talking about. This is what he was mentioning. This is what I could have done. And I started talking about it like in the match, and now I was like, I don't like this match anymore. I don't want to watch it. So I do understand like the moments of like where you got to fill in stuff with like either it's like character work, you got to do the things you got to do, say things, get the crowd involved, give them something or take something from them, like it. But it's in the moment though, like you never think about those things, and now like I find myself, oh, I could have done this, and like in the match, I was even telling myself, I was like, yo, do something. And I just wasn't doing anything. Like, I was just drawing a blank. And I was like, now I remember, like, oh, this is where we're at. I'm like, okay, I got it. But
and I know the fans help with that too, because if they're more into the match, I've noticed like the way I react and the passion, everything is more like there when the fans are really into the match, and when the fans are not, it's hard. It's honestly kind of hard to put more emotion into it.
It definitely, yeah. You're right. You're 100% right. Yo, let me ask this question really quick, and then we're gonna jump into my favorite segment of the Three Count podcast.
Sounds good to me.
What's the hardest lesson you've had to learn being in the business?
Ooh, hardest lesson I've had to learn. Hmm. Sorry that. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm taking a while to answer. That is
No,
a
take your
very good
time.
one because like there's a lot of good lessons I've learned, but then there are times where like there's still a lot of things I haven't learned. Um, fuck, learning to keep my mouth shut. There we go. That's there. I'm. That's like I could have gotten a lot. I mean, I would have to say that because I'm not a fan of letting people just run over me. But there are times where it's like if I say certain things, it's gonna end up worse for me in the long run than it is will fight, standing my ground. And I get it, there are times and places to stand my ground, but then at sometimes where other people are just like there's no getting through with them. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know it's not a great answer, but
No, it is a great answer because like yeah, you that's why they always tell us, right? Like ear or mouth closed, ears open,
you know,
and like just and eyes open. Just listen and watch and don't say anything, right? Because you never know. You never know who you're gonna piss off.
it's not even that. You don't know who's watching.
Yeah.
You know, that one moment you decided to go off on someone because they said something just happened that the person with connections happened to overhear it. And the next thing you know, you go to message a promotion and they're like, no, you have an attitude you have an attitude. I'm not booking you. Like,
Yeah, I can.
People talk.
Yeah, I can share a fun story with you after this show about something that happened.
Like, it happens. There are a couple people I would love to tell off, but in reality it doesn't do anything. Like, okay, cool, I get it off my chest and I tell them how I really feel, but in reality it doesn't accomplish anything.
No.
It's not gonna get me forward though in my career. It's not gonna it's gonna do more harm than good.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll definitely share it with you. We could talk story. You guys don't get this story. Sorry. This is not gonna be a thing.
There's just some
Uh,
stories you can't let their
yeah, you don't get to hear it.
they go
But we're
maybe.
gonna jump into my favorite part of the Three Count Podcast. That is the Three Count Podcast, 10 count questions. And here's how it works, Mr. Dio. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
Uh-oh. Are you sure you want to do it? I'm terrible at these.
Bet we're
I
gonna do
plead the
great.
fifth.
That's not this game. That's Wild and Out.
Damn it.
That's a whole different show. So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite cartoon?
Favorite cartoon, Looney Tunes.
Let's go. Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
Favorite TV show?
Attack on Titan.
I like it. Apple or Android?
Android.
Favorite movie?
Oh, god damn it, motherfucker. Train to Busan.
Let's go.
Korean zombie movie.
No, I got you.
Okay.
We here.
Okay.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Favorite podcast?
I honestly don't have one.
That's right. Nominate one person that you want to see on the show.
Madness Trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him back. I can't wait. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word.
Favorite curse word. Baka. even though it's not really a curse word, but it is. Depending on how you want to look at it, it can be.
It can't be.
It can
Definitely.
be. I mean, it's stupid in Japanese, but you know what? To me, I say that more than any other swear word, and I know it's not a swear word, but to me, it makes me happy.
It makes you yeah. Don't worry, I'm on point. I noticed it. Yo, so those are all my questions for you, man. So the last thing I need you to do is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook under Dante Dio. You can find me on Instagram at Dante_DOX. Don't ask why there's an X because I do not know myself. And then you can also, selfish plug here, you can also find me on a Facebook group called the Waywards. It is a tag team I'm trying to get started with two of my best friends. We are, I think we're good. Like, of course, we're getting this off the ground. So we're still finding all of our, we're crossing our T's, dotting our I's. We've had so far 3 bookings, and all of them have been for championship matches. So we must be doing something right.
Hey. Love it. All right, well, bet, man. So he told you where you could find him. He even gave you his tag team that's up and running. So, like every great part of wrestling match, we got to take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast, Possessed Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like I said, it's never about me. It's about who's entering. So who's entering? You see him right there, Dante Dio. And you know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there. Or you're legitimately follow us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're follow us on Spotify. You're checking us out on Amazon Music. You're leaving us 5-star frog splash reviews on Apple Podcasts. You're even checking us out on that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes iHeartRadio or whatever it is. You're checking out all of our merch on foryourwear.com or on prowrestlingtees.com. You're telling your mom about us. You're telling your dad about us. You're telling your aunties about us, your uncles, your cousins, your sister, your brothers, your best friends, your not so best friends. Throw us your enemies because, we love haters too. You're doing all that stuff. You're checking all these things out, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for that outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is to kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, love y'all.